IT Hero Podcast Show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Now we are in episode 10, and episode 10 is going to be really interesting. Today we have someone who is joining all the way from Kolkata, and he's a cloud product solution architect who's working on multi-cloud and also runs an amazing YouTube channel. And I'm super happy to invite Turja Narayan on the call. Hey Turja.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast.
Thanks, Turja. So tell us about your cloud journey so far.
Yeah, so basically, as far as cloud journey goes, I have all over 9 years and around 4 to 5 years of experience in cloud.
Okay.
So basically, I finished my BTech in around 2012, and then I had joined initially Samsung Research as an Android developer. From there, I spent 3 years there, and then I joined PwC India initially as a C# MSBI developer. And then basically in 2016, around 2016, I was working on a product as a technical lead, as the lead developer of the product, and that product migrated to Amazon Web Services. So it was
Okay.
at that time that I started working on the AWS stack, mostly, for example, a little bit of EC2, S3, Lambda, API gateway, this and that. But
Okay.
mostly at the developer layer, not at the infrastructure layer. So I did not leverage complete power of cloud, so to say. Then I left PwC around 2018, and then I joined the Accenture cloud team. Okay, so there I
Okay.
have joined the cloud delivery team, and since then it has been full on cloud. So
Okay.
it's been around 3 years of extensive cloud. We have been working on AWS a little bit, 20% AWS, around
Okay.
70 to 75% Azure, and
Okay.
also 5 to 10% GCP. So this is what I am mostly doing now.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. That's a great journey so far, Turja. Since you said you worked on, multi-cloud, AWS, Azure, and GCP, uh, which do you think has, more scope in future, or who has, better hands in future?
See, this is a really, really tricky question and a very good question, but it's very difficult to answer, to be very fair. Okay.
Okay.
Everybody has upped their game. Okay.
Okay.
And everybody is biased in a way. So, for example, I am a little bit more biased with Azure because I use it more.
Yeah.
Okay. But as far as you see, so Azure is in a very strong place. As along with that, AWS was always in a strong place. They're still in a very, very strong place.
Okay.
GCP was the new kid on the block, but they have actually matured a lot, mostly for the data services. For example, my client is moving a lot of its data-related workloads to GCP. The data AI
Oh.
ML services are fantastic there.
Okay.
OCI has also made a great leap. And so I have heard, I have not used OCI. I have a few certifications on there, but I've never used OCI for my client. But
Okay.
I heard that many people who run Oracle workloads on-prem, which is a huge percentage of the entire IT industry,
Yeah.
they are actually thinking very nicely about moving to the Oracle cloud infrastructure. That is one of the bets that the Oracle guys are betting on. So
Okay.
overall, I would say that, see, the idea here right now is basically not only to be, so from a learning perspective, or from a teaching perspective, or from a work kind of a perspective, what
Yeah.
is the focus should be, for example, that you have some kind of breadth with all the clouds, so that you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
okay, this is Azure, this is AWS, but you should have at least a depth in one of them. So for example, I always position myself as an Azure cloud architect. I don't say
Okay.
I'm a AWS architect or a GCP architect or anything else, but obviously I know, and most of the services, most of the fundamental concepts are the same across
Okay.
all of the public clouds, okay, and
Okay.
even at some level to the private clouds.
Yeah.
So if you are that one, it's for example, a few days back I was talking to somebody in Amazon, and they were saying that they actually, in the interviews for
Okay.
AWS architect, they're actually even allowing Azure architects to take part in those
Oh.
interviews, because from their perspective, they are
Yeah.
saying, even if you are in one cloud, I don't
Mm.
care,
Mm.
you can join us.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Now, since you started your career, Turja, as a programmer, and then you moved on to cloud, how did your programming knowledge help you in your cloud journey?
Yeah, see, programming knowledge will help for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Because right now the industry is moving kind of to a full stack cloud architecture. Okay. So
Okay.
earlier the industry was extremely fragmented. So for example, some people were backend developers, some were front end, some were infra guys, some were
Yeah.
networking guys, okay, some were storage guys, some were compute guys. But with the advent of these public cloud services, and also with a lot of small companies who are doing extremely good work, okay, because there are a
Yeah.
lot of small companies, startup, mid-sized companies. So
Okay.
these enterprises are also changing their game. So for example, in Accenture, we have something called the full stack cloud architect program also.
Okay.
So where we are, at least for example, now the market is looking for people who knows each and every layer of the stack. Maybe not an
Hmm.
expert, but the same person should be able to debug a little bit of the Python code if needed, at least a little bit, and
Okay.
also understand DNS queries. They should
Okay.
understand, okay, for example, replication or a disaster recovery concepts, and but
Hmm.
at the same time, they should be able to write Terraform code. So these are
Okay.
the guys like the site reliability engineer kind of guys who are who have, for whom the permanent or the main duty is to keep the site up and running, and a site has
Huh.
number of stacks, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
basically, if you are good in programming, okay, then
Yeah.
you have an advantage from my perspective, because
Okay.
I have programmed all my life, but then I joined the infra domain much later.
Okay.
But for example, I used to write earlier C sharp code. Now I write maybe Terraform code. So the
Okay.
similar kind of concepts, they still apply. But
Hmm.
even for example, for infra guy, it's good if you understand a little bit maybe of Python, maybe a little bit Go, so that
Yeah.
at least you can maybe call the APIs and get the data and do some funky stuff with it, basically.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty good advice. So some kind of language, somehow you're going to, it's going to be either shell scripting or somehow API queries. You're going to somehow meet programming down the journey when you start cloud, right? So yeah, that
Yes.
makes
So,
sense.
for example, if you see the AWS Educate program, okay,
Uh-huh.
that AWS runs for college students. So they have a few paths called solution architect path,
Okay.
cloud developer, cloud automation path. If you see the first 60% of that path is programming.
Okay.
Okay. So they actually first teach you a little bit of programming and then they teach you cloud. So it's like
Okay.
that you have to even, and there are many third-party training services who are providing training for site reliability engineering.
Okay.
They're asking you to first choose some kind of a coding language. Say, for example,
Okay.
either C sharp, mostly Python, Go,
Yeah.
something like that. And then once you choose them, they will first train you there, and then they will train you on infra or cloud.
Got it. Got it. Understood. Yeah. Now, in terms of cloud architect, right? You're a cloud architect or a solution architect. How does a day look like, a typical day?
So basically, what I do, I basically lead a solution delivery team based out of Kolkata for my
Okay.
clients. We have around 8 to 10 people. We mostly what happens, we are kind of like the cloud center of excellence, CCOE.
Okay.
So sometimes what happens, say for example, the client needs to host something in the cloud.
Okay.
Now, even though you hear a lot about cloud here and there, but still, if you see, the
Uh-huh.
enterprises are still quite far in their journey. I mean, they are extremely new to the cloud. So
Okay.
most of the application developers and their vendors and the application team, they don't know cloud that well.
Okay.
So the day, basically the first conversation with the client mostly starts on, okay, this is cloud, this is what you used to do in on-prem. This
Okay.
might not work here the same way. If you just lift and shift something from
Uh-huh.
on-prem to cloud, then you might not be able to leverage the entire benefits of
Hmm.
the cloud ecosystem. So the
Correct.
first part is talking with them on understanding their requirements, then trying to understand, okay, what kind of an application this is. For example, see, cloud is extremely customizable. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you can keep on adding. Say, for example, just to give an example, say high availability. Okay,
Okay.
so to give high availability, say you come to me and say, Turja, can you please make a highly available website for me?
Yeah.
So I can, for example, deploy your website across availability sets. That is one
Hmm.
kind of availability. Then I can deploy it across availability zone. Finally, I can even deploy it across regions.
Yeah.
But the more highly available the solution, the more cost you have to pay. So
Ah.
there is all those trade-offs that you have to think of. So that is part of the solution architect's role to understand, okay, what kind of availability is enough? What kind of an SLA is enough? Then what we do, we just don't only do advice, we
Hmm.
also do the implementation part.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
do the, so once the entire discussion, we design the high level HLD diagram, LLD diagram, then we
Hmm.
actually write some Terraform scripts or Azure DevOps pipelines and we deploy the infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then we hand it over to the customer. So this is how we do the
Okay.
the client teams or the vendor teams, and then we optimize the architecture wherever possible and stuff like that. Basically, that is what we do day to day.
Understood. Okay. Okay. Now, if somebody's starting out in cloud, okay, who has 4 or 5 years experience in cloud and they are learning, now they want to become a solution architect. What are your advices for them?
You see, right now it's much. When I joined, it was kind of like we did not know what good architecture in cloud would look like, right?
Yeah.
But now with well-architected framework, the cloud adoption framework, there are so many good resources. For example, today only I was working on a tech on a Kubernetes architecture
Okay.
for a personal project of mine,
Okay.
and I was browsing through the Kubernetes reference architecture, which is provided by Microsoft, which is a wonderful type of material that is provided.
Okay.
So there are some books you can follow to understand a little bit of what cloud is.
Okay.
The thing is that whoever was good in whatever earlier, say for example, say somebody was a very good Java programmer,
Uh,
that will always help him. That does not go away. Or somebody was a good sysadmin,
yeah.
was good in Linux. All of that will still make sense. All of that will help him
Hmm.
because cloud is nothing new. It's like the same thing, only you just need to think a little bit differently. A
Yeah.
little bit, for example, when you think about these, earlier we used to think about those monolith kind of architectures. Now we think a little bit on the microservice, loosely coupled based architectures.
Yeah.
A little bit thinking will change, but I do a lot of reading. Okay,
Okay.
so for
Okay.
example, 30% of my day is reading blogs by I have marked a few good ones like by some solution architects in ThoughtWorks like Martin Fowler,
Uh,
okay, Brendan Burns. So their blogs I read. So you have to have a, if you are aspiring to be an architect, okay,
yeah.
you need to have a good breadth of things. That is very
Hmm.
important. You
Hmm.
are not aware of the 5 solutions, how will you tell your client that okay, this is the, and you
Yeah.
have to do a lot of POCs. Okay,
Yeah.
so for example, very recently I have been doing a POC
Okay.
on deploying architectures, basically using Argo CD on Kubernetes.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
I do that, then only tomorrow when my client comes and tells me, okay, I have to deploy some Kubernetes workloads
Hmm.
onto a Kubernetes cluster, is there a
Yeah.
very good way? So I have to read a lot. I have always to catch up, and things are changing at a huge space, right? So
Mm-hmm.
things that were used to work maybe 3 months back, they have the whole picture has changed a lot.
Correct.
But then if you see now, you will see the best cloud architects today were the best on-prem architects earlier.
Okay.
Okay, so the same guys have come and they have become very good. It's not like a new batch of people, the same batch of people, because those
Mm.
fundamental technologies and the fundamental strengths have not changed. Okay, they
Correct.
will
Correct.
not change. You will still adhere to them, you will still need them, but
Yeah.
then you add a little bit of more of education. But yeah, you have to always keep up your stay hungry, stay foolish kind of a thing. I
Yeah.
read a lot of books, I read a lot of
Uh-huh.
stuff, so that is very important, and you have to do it if you want to at least kind of do a solution for
Got
your
it.
clients.
Got it. It's a lot of information to digest, but very, very informative. Talking about your activities in LinkedIn, I am really inspired, Turja. You do a lot of reading and you post your stuff. You do a lot of projects and you are happy to share that with your community. And that's something that I wanted to take a moment to appreciate. So keep doing that, and it helps a lot of people.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So now I want to double click on your certification point. You spend a lot of your time in reading, but you also do certifications on one side. How helpful is certifications in your journey till now?
See, they are very helpful. Okay. For example, say you are interviewing a guy. Okay. Say, for example, for a GCP role,
Yeah.
and you see that that guy has 6 GCP certifications, for
Okay.
example. Okay. You don't know how he got them, but
Yeah.
initially, by default, you will have an idea
Uh,
that no, this guy must know GCP quite well. Otherwise, how would he have 6 certifications? So
hmm.
certifications help. That's for sure. That is, I got my job in Accenture because of my certifications. At that time, I had 4 AWS associate certifications,
Okay. Okay.
and I constantly do certifications. So I have more than maybe 25, 30 cloud certifications. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And I have and I invest. So something I have been doing for the last 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
is I invest 10% of my salary in education.
Wow.
That can be certification, That can be, and when I say 10%, I actually spend 10%. So 8 to 10% I always spend, which is a good amount of money
Yeah.
if you spend on certifications. So I spend on certifications, I spend on books, I
Mm.
spend on training. So for example, I have Pluralsight licenses, a Cloud Guru license.
Mm.
Then I have Medium license, and similarly I have scheduled the Kubernetes certifications, CKA, CKA, CKS, everything out of my own pocket, basically.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
see, this is kind of like an investment. When you are investing in a mutual fund, when you are
Yeah.
investing in a provident fund, you are expecting an revenue out of it,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Similarly, this investment will basically yield a much higher revenue
Okay.
in
Okay.
terms of a better job,
Yeah.
which will be maybe 300% your current salary.
Mm.
Okay. In terms of stability, when
Mm.
other guys might get fired, you will still stay because you are
Mm.
still relevant. And that
Mm.
is the only way we can stay relevant in the IT industry, is by continuous investment in
Okay.
ourselves. That should be there. And that I have been doing for a long time. And that is the reason. And yes, you have to find time
Yeah.
out of your, it will never be easy. Meaning, say you are busy nowadays, say with
Yeah.
9 years of experience, I'm busy. When I will have 15
Mm.
years of experience, I will be more busy.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
have more people working under me. So I will
Mm.
have to maybe take care of people management as well. So
Mm.
you have to find time, maybe in the weekends, maybe a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And what I normally do, I start with, say, videos. Say, for example, when I did the HashiCorp Vault certification, I had never used Vault
Okay.
in production. But what I started, I first went through, say, 40 to 50 without
Okay.
even running a single line of code or without even installing Vault.
Okay.
I
Okay.
went through 30 to 40 YouTube videos of Vault.
Oh, okay.
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 So this gives me first a 10,000 feet overview.
Mm.
Then I am a Microsoft certified trainer, so I get around 10,000 INR of Azure credits every month. So then I
Oh.
spin up a
Okay.
VM. Then I
Okay.
installed Vault, and then I started working on it. And then finally, you have to do practice tests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah.
have to do a little bit of practice. There are n number of practice tests available.
Mm.
And see, it doesn't mean just because, say, I have 30 certifications will not mean that I am better than somebody who has 20 certifications, or I am worse than somebody who has 40 certifications. But
Mm.
this is kind of like a entry gate.
Yeah.
Okay, I have seen many job postings where they tell you that we need AWS professional certification.
Yeah.
We need Azure architect certifications.
Correct.
Okay. Even within, for example, within Accenture, we upload our certifications. There also we get good benefits.
Mm.
Even in your current organization will give you a good benefit
Mm.
if you
Mm.
do certifications.
Yeah.
So certifications are kind of like a must, but along with that, the problem nowadays that has happened with a lot of mock exams,
Yeah.
you can actually, I know people who have passed certifications without even logging into AWS console.
Okay.
So they haven't logged in, and that is okay also. I am not saying that's a bad thing, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you need to do some labs.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And there are, so what I do for that case is that I open a best practice architecture.
Okay.
Say, for example, AWS high availability architecture, I open, and then I try to do it in my own lab. And it is during that time and then I post them in the Git repo, and then maybe I post them in my YouTube channel. While doing those things, you learn a lot, which
Yeah.
if you just go through the videos or through the documents, unless and until you are doing them by hand, you will
Yeah.
never.
Very true. Very true. Thank you so much, Durga. That's a lot of information you've shared in the previous talk. So I really want to highlight your YouTube channel here, actually, and you also reached 1,000 subscribers very recently. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And people who are listening, I just wanted to let you know that I will put the link in the description, and it has a ton of information related to Jenkins and also HashiCorp certifications. So do take a look at it. It's worth if you take a look at it. And I think you have more information than going through a proper certification. So that videos in YouTube are really a gem. So good job on doing that, Turja.
Thank you, man. Actually, when I did them, my idea was, and I will continue that series. I actually have stopped because I'm actually doing my MTech also.
Okay.
So I'm actually doing my MTech from BITS Pilani as a
Oh,
work integrated program. So
okay.
because of that, my all my certifications and everything has slowed down a little. But the
Okay.
idea of the YouTube channel was basically I don't want I did a question answer format. So I came up with
Okay.
questions. then I answered them, and I will keep on that. I will keep on adding questions. So thank you.
Sure. Sure. That's a wealth of information in your channel. So please keep continuing. People like me or people who are starting into cloud, definitely it'll help. So yeah. Right.
Perfect.
Right, Turja, thank you so much. I think we're at the end of the show, and you've had
Okay.
shared really useful information. And keep up your inspiration, and keep sharing your articles and your LinkedIn posts, because you never know who get inspired, who get motivated to be like who you are today. So thank you so much for all your works.
Thank you so much for hosting this wonderful podcast. And I was listening to some of them with some very good guys, and it will be good. This kind of things they give. See, everything cannot be learned from book, right? You need
Correct.
to hear other people's thoughts, and it shapes your own. So
Yeah,
thank you for this wonderful work you're doing for the community.
sure. Thank you so much, Turja. We'll see you around.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye for now. IT Hero Podcast Show.